never actually look out into the reservoir and get any reservoir information. It's all only because the pressure build is so small left, you're not looking past the well. So I suspect qualitatively Paul's right that this thing really is completed. I mean, you can look and see it's not built up any more than that. But as far as doing a quantitative analysis on it, there was no reservoir data available to analyze. Now, if they had shut it in for probably 3 or 4 more hours, maybe we'd seen something, but it just wasn't pressure left to build up.
I had
fracture.
It could be because the derivative, you got the derivative in it, Paul?
Yeah. I was going to throw the recovery app at you. Look at this. I mean, 25, 65, all gas and oil. I mean, now granted, you can. One thing I want to point out here before we go into the derivative part. This 22, there's 25, 65 is a little bit misleading because if you go back and you look at the final flow pressure, no matter what fluid gradient you use, 720 pounds of flow pressure is all you have. And
Just the weight of the fluid.
yeah. And for those of you that are, if you don't understand that, what I'm trying to get at here is the end of your final flow. You're actually weighing the fluid in that hole, and so this 720 pounds, there's a corresponding weight of fluid in there, and even though it's 25, 65, you can't have a fluid gradient that's going to make those two equal. So you've got everything. The oil is so gassed up that you really don't have 25 or 2,400 foot of oil in there. You might have, if you could take all the gas out, you might have 1,000 or something like that.
And Paul, go to your when you're coming out of the hole at the end there. Just zoom out.
Okay.
And then zoom in, like where you got the final shut-in and because I know they left it hanging there, apparently.
Yeah, here's where they reversed the fluid out. So in other words, we reversed out. So here's where they were reversing out oil, and so hydrostatic was up here at about 1,250 pounds then. So and there again, that's probably because everything was just so gassy and gassed up. Because a lot of times you'll see when they start dumping fluid, it'll equal where the flow pressure ends, but it didn't. It didn't. Yeah, I know what you were getting at. Yeah, I think it probably would have on DST3. Okay, yeah. Look at this one. See right where the flow ended. You can tell they're coming out of the hole here in dry pipe. Once they get here to where they're slowing, in other words, they're taking this. It's taking more time to dump a stand of fluid. That's why it's taking more time to dump fluid here.
And they were probably checking for 2 or 3 stands before they got to it.
But yeah, you can see here they're zipping right out of the hole full speed, and then they got the fluid here, and then each one of these this is dumping a stand. Every one of them little stair steps is a stand of fluid. Okay, then we were going to do a derivative on the first test work. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's zoom up on that. Yeah, see how it's flat for a little bit and then it just starts climbing.
And that upward slope right there, depending on what the slope on that is, that's going to kind of identify the flow resistance. So it's less than 1, which is the slope of wellbore storage, but it's not quite down to the half slope, which you expect for infinite fracture. So yeah, it's just not a whole lot of interpretable data.
And then you're saying on the second shut-in, the same.
Well, actually, the first one, the second one, you don't even get that initial flat.
What it's doing there.
Yeah, that's sort of.
It's going up the whole time.
Doesn't that sort of add evidence to the fact that it's still flowing, not really shutting?
I wouldn't necessarily put it that way, but you're certainly not looking outside the wellbore. That could be a reason. And it's not because the tool's not shut in. It's just because there's so little pressure there to build up. It's gassy, so you've got phase segregation going on where the gas is backflowing something well into the formation. It's just
We ran the first test here, then then the rig broke down for about a day. So we sent a different tester out, different string of tools, and then we tested another zone. Well, what we've got here is we got Fort Scott, Cherokee, and the mist. And until they run this mist test, they were biting their fingernails, because here you are, you're in this terrible quandary. You run a test, you recover 2,500 foot of oil, or at least that's what's reported, because even with the gas, that's what's reported. And then you're sitting there saying, yeah, but I've got this huge pressure drop. What do I do? And I recommended retesting the zone if all else failed. And the operator, he says, well, I've got several investors that are wanting to set pipe, and he said I just about have to set pipe. And of course then the Cherokee didn't help, and then he must have been living right, because then once he got down to the mist, then he got this kind of a blow. He got gas to surface, and he recovered 620 foot, and pressure's held in, and they got pipe in the ground, and everybody's, it's one thing to have a zone like this to go back and perforate at the end of the well's life, but to hang your hat on a huge pressure drop and set pipe, and it's kind of you're no matter what you do, you're damned. I mean, if you walk away and plug this, somebody's going to wash you down, or you're going to have landowners screaming at you, you're going to have investors screaming at you. No matter what you do, no matter what you do on a well like this, you're in trouble. But if you go ahead and set pipe, and then a month later it's making a half a barrel a day, then you got everybody mad at you then too. So I don't know. It's one of them deals.
Kind of like being married.
Is there a rule of thumb percentage-wise, initial shutting, final shutting, the killer?
No.
Not really, because what'll be a rule of thumb in one area won't be in another. I mean, I've run enough Mississippi tests in Ness County, I almost expect to see your pressure drop and everything's fine. There's huge cumes, and then there's other places where if you'd have that same pressure drop, it's a bad thing, and I can't explain why that is, except that it's real. It goes back to what I said earlier. You just kind of look at what's happened historically in that area, and then go from there.
Well, most of these ones that people are concerned about on the pressure, and I can't tell you how many I've looked at. If you do a build-up on that final, it's going to build right back up to where it was on the initial. But all they're looking at is the difference on those shut-ins. And in cases, it's always still building. So you just have to see if it's going to build up.
I'm going to switch gears for just a minute and talk about gas tests, and a little bit of misunderstanding sometimes about gas tests. A few minutes ago I was talking about oil, how flow pressure was measuring the fluid in the hole. Well, that's only the case on an oil test. When you're measuring flow pressures on a gas test, you are actually measuring the back pressure that the tool has created, because the recorders are under the tool, and so the flow pressure, these 2,000 pound flow pressures here have nothing to do with fluid at all, because this is a gas test. This is just how much, this zone here is so permeable that this is how much pressure, even though we're flowing 8 million a day, we're still able to hold 2,000 pounds of pressure under the tool. Just the restrictions of the tool, those, the pictures of the tool I showed you earlier, those shut-in tool ports, they're all keeping that pressure back. So during a gas test, you can have flow pressures do almost anything, depending on how the well cleans up or how the rocks behave further from the well bore. If you look here, we've got it. The tool's actually open here. Then it falls off here, and for a few minutes it's fairly stable, and then you can kind of see a little bit of a build, and then it's a little bit of a climb here. And so this is just a tremendous, huge gas test here, and then let's look at the final.